Commission, there were big debates on the votes of the Senate and the House, especially on the martial law provisions and the suspension of the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus. And in these debates, it appeared that the intent of the framers of the Constitution, at least it was made clear by Commissioner Monsod and Commissioner Rodrigo, that they wanted to avoid a deadlock. That's why uh, they had to vote jointly on this matter of martial law and the suspension of the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus. They have wanted to avoid deadlocks in the, let's say it could happen that the House would vote separately. If they voted separately, the House may take it up but the Senate will refuse, or the Senate may take it up but the House may refuse. Then there will be a deadlock. That's why, but there was a safety provision put in where judicial review became available after 60 days. But this is the only case. There are only two cases probably in the Constitution where voting jointly happens. One is there in the martial law provisions, which was fiercely debated, and second, where it was not clarified and it was made the literal interpretation of the Constitution, literal words of the Constitution is 3/4 of Congress proposing amendments to the Constitution. Meaning to say, those those two provisions, there may be a similarity of design that the commissioners who were debating on these measures wanted to avoid a deadlock, because if the Senate refuses to take up charter change, what will happen to charter change? Then it's a dead charter change. It will never take off. If the House refuses to take it up, it's the same thing. Would you think, Mr. Justice, that this may be an intent of the framers, that for the Constitution to be subject to amendment, you have to have the two houses voting jointly, such as those found in the martial law provisions and the habeas corpus provisions, Mr. Justice.
Thank you, Honorable Andaya. I have occasion to look into that point, and it is true that there are some provisions, one or two, which says that Congress should vote jointly. Okay, but in the case of amending the Constitution, Mr. Chairman, what it says is that by a vote of 3/4 of all its members, not a vote of 3/4 of Congress. It says by a vote of 3/4 of all its members. Now, as I said, its members under Article 6 are not the individuals, senator or individual representative. It is the Senate and the House. So that means 3/4 of the Senate and 3/4 of the House. However, Mr. Chairman, if I should be wrong, and the voting is by individuals, not by the constituent House and Senate, so that you count heads of every senator and every representative, and 3/4 of the total is enough. I still submit, Your Honor, that in that eventuality, a joint voting should include at least a majority of the Senate, at least a majority. Perhaps an absolute majority would be required, that is 13. Why? Because if you do not have a majority of the Senate, then the action is not an act of the Senate. If it is not an act of the Senate, it is not an act of Congress, because Congress is Senate and House. And therefore, to be valid, even a joint voting must include at least a majority of the Senate. Doesn't have to be 3/4, but at least a majority, I would say absolute majority, 13 of the Senate must vote in favor. Otherwise, I believe that the proposal would be invalid.
Yeah, for your last manifestation,
Yes,
ongoing.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, Mr. Justice, I was reading up on the case of Gonzalez versus Comelec, where it was stated, maybe in Obica, but still stated by the Supreme Court, that when Congress starts discussing and then when Congress starts working on the Constitution, it ceases to be a legislative body. It becomes one that takes up matters of the sovereign. And in doing so, we cease to become members of different houses. That is what Gonzalez versus Comelec said. What would you say? What would be your stand on this case, Mr. Justice?
I do not agree I agree perhaps in Father Berna's view that the process of proposing amendments to the Constitution may be done in the same way that you propose a bill. No? You pass it like a bill. You propose it in the House, propose it in the Senate, and then approve it, sent to the upper chamber. In other words, you follow the procedure for passing an ordinary legislation, but you need 3/4 vote, according to Father Bernas, both in the Senate and in the House. To say that because the moment you start talking about amending the Constitution, you become a constituent assembly and therefore no longer two chambers, I don't think that's correct. Because the one that is given power to amend and revise the Constitution under Article 17 is a two-chamber body, Congress. Congress is defined under Article 6 as a two-chamber body. Simply because you are proposing amendments under Article 17 doesn't mean that Article 6, the composition of Congress, ceases, because Article 17 must be read in relation with Article 6 when it speaks of Congress. Who is Congress? Who is this body that can propose amendments? You have to go to Article 6, and it says Senate and House.
So the good justice does not believe in the words stated by the ponente in Gonzalez versus Comelec. Is that my reading of the words of the good justice?
Yes, I do not think that's binding. That is probably an obiter dictum, because there has never happened yet a situation where only one chamber and the Senate did not participate as a Senate, and the amendment was sustained.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Congressman Boying Rimulya. Pagpasensya nyo na ako at ililimit ako muna yung interpellation, asking question to Justice Ascuna. But I will, pagpapibigyan mo lang yung mga nakapagpalista na Vice Chair Noy Defensor, D.S. Marcoleta, Deputy Speaker Dinan Hernandez, and Congressman Lo Fortun. And after the four who have been mentioned, Kong Arjen, 5 who have mentioned, we will proceed with other resource person who will also deliver